talk more about the latest WikiLeaks. We're now joined live from Paris by John Laughlin, Director of the Institute for Democracy and Cooperation. Thanks for being with us, Mr. Laughlin. Now, the U.S. has been left red-faced by the revelations, but I want to talk about Russia. The latest leaked cables allege the country is rife with corruption and crime, something, of course, no large country is free from. But it's also not news to any Russian. People know this. The president knows this. So what kind of headlines do you think WikiLeaks is trying to make here if it's already something people know?
Well, the allegation made by the American diplomats is not just that Russia is a victim of corruption and crime, but instead that the corruption and crime in Russia is being controlled by the government. In other words, that Russia is a mafia state. Those were the headlines this morning, that Russia is a mafia state, a mafia gang at the head of which is, of course, Vladimir Putin. That was the allegation. What WikiLeaks is trying to do, I don't think WikiLeaks is trying to say anything about Russia at all. These are, after all, American documents. All that they tell us things about are what American diplomats think. They don't communicate any information, or at least not much information, about the world at large. What they do tell us about is the mentality of American diplomats themselves. And I don't think it's really news to hear that many American diplomats have an extremely negative view of Russia. That we knew already.
Well, it seems that the leaks on Russia are very much in the headlines today, and some of those documents detailed alleged that scams were orchestrated by former Moscow Mayor Yuri Lushkov. He, of course, was sacked months ago. What's the point of leaking such outdated known information?
Well, again, I don't think WikiLeaks itself has a policy on this. I think they have obviously received a large amount of documents which they have leaked, possibly without having read all of them. After all, there are an awfully large number of documents. So I don't think that it makes sense to search for a motive in this way. I think that there is information contained within these documents that has been put online for no particular reason whatever. Instead, I think what is interesting about them is the overall vision that they give of the United States and of its diplomatic service. And I have to say that when one looks at these documents in the round, one is overwhelmed and frankly disgusted by the impression one has of a political class in America which is fundamentally infantile. What I mean by that is that they, as we can see from these cables, they have a very, I would say, retarded view of the world.
What you just said about the reaction to these cables, how credible do you think they are?
Which reaction?
The reaction of just being distasteful and outraged that this is happening, that U.S. diplomats are saying these kind of things.
Well, if you're asking me, I'm sorry, I don't fully understand your question. Whose reaction are you asking me about?
To ask you frankly, basically what I want to know is how credible you think these cables are. Do you think the information we got from the leaks is actually things that were said and written by U.S. diplomats?
As far as I know, yes. As far as I know, they're authentic, yes. My understanding of the reaction in Washington is that there are various kinds of reaction, but I'm not aware of people having called into question their authenticity. On the contrary, I thought that American officials have been told not to comment on them one way or the other.
Do you think that WikiLeaks could be serving someone's political interest?
Not really, no. I noticed that Mr. Putin made this speculation in his Larry King interview yesterday. I don't think that's a fruitful avenue of inquiry to go down. My own view is that this really does lift the curtain, as I was saying a moment ago, on the American mentality, on America's fundamental intellectual incapacity to deal with the outside world in any other way than by dividing it up into good guys and bad guys. This really, for me, is the message which comes across from these documents, that there is an incredibly immature and, frankly, dangerous attitude on the part of American diplomats to categorize the world only in terms of whether people are friendly towards America and whether countries want to be like America. This shows, I think, the real intellectual flaw at the heart of American foreign policy, because it shows that America, at least the State Department at any rate, is the victim of a sort of political autism. In other words, a political inability to deal with the other, to deal with other people, with all the difficulty and differences that that implies. So I don't think that there's a plot going on here. I think that these documents have been obtained one way or the other, and WikiLeaks, which has given itself this role of leaking information, has done it, and that's all there is to it. That's my view anyway.
John Laughlin, live from Paris, thank you very much for your input.